Welcome or welcome back to iGaming. Today we're going to be talking about Sons of the Forest, the popular and upcoming horror survival game which is the sequel to the original The Forest. This looks absolutely insane and is going to be one of, if not the biggest survival game of 2023. They were originally meant to launch in 2022 in May. Then they pushed back to October, and then finally the 23rd of February 2023. Now, there was a potential that it was going to be pushed back a third and final time. Instead of doing that, the team has actually decided to release the game into early access so they can work on building new features with the community behind them. But more on that a little bit later in the video. It will be coming to PC at a price of around $29.99. Unfortunately, there is no news as of yet of whether they're going to be bringing it to console anytime soon. The original Forest did that well, it did go to console, so I don't see any reason why this one wouldn't. It's just a matter of when. So unfortunately, fingers crossed, and hopefully we get some news on that within the coming months. The development team, End Night Games, wanted to make The Forest but a million times better and a lot beefier. And that is what it looks like they've accomplished for Sons of the Forest. It has a whole host of new features and loads of improved features from the original game, which is going to make it a massive hit. From what we've seen so far, the start of the game is going to be similar to the original Forest. You and little Timmy crash land on a strange island filled with cannibals and all sorts of nastiness. On this one, you are an elite special forces operative sent to the island to find a missing billionaire. On the way to the island, something or someone damages your helicopter, which results in a crash landing, and you go from there. But you are not alone on this island. Something brand new, a whole new feature that they're bringing to this is AI. There's going to be a whole host of AI teammates. So far we've only seen 2, but there could potentially be more, especially going into early access where they're going to continue to develop. It could be something that happens much later down the line. Our first team member is this guy here, Kelvin. He's non-verbal after having a head injury, but he does follow you around and he is a great companion, especially if you are playing solo. This guy will help you out, he will fetch things for you, he will point out enemies and also help you defend your home base. Kelvin will help you with a multitude of things, but he is not a workhorse. He does have thoughts and feelings, and if you're not nice to him, his, let's say, performance will drastically decrease. But, you know, if you don't want an AI teammate, it is quite simple. Put a bullet in his head. If you put a bullet in your AI teammate's head, that is it. They will not come back. There is no second chances with the teammates. If you kill them, then you will be on your own in Sons of the Forest. But there is also a second AI teammate out there. This lady is known as Virginia. She's a mutant with 3 arms, 3 legs, but she's very timid at first. She may not come near you. She doesn't like you at all to begin with. You do have to slowly work your way towards her, gain her trust, and she could potentially help you on any missions that you may want to take on and anything that could help with the cannibals. So there's a lot there with Virginia especially. I think she is definitely the most interesting of the 2 AI teammates that we've seen so far. Whether we can have those 2 teammates together is yet to be seen. But even if we don't have them working together, having at least one of these guys is drastically going to increase your chances of survival, especially when you can send them out to do resource collection and all sorts of stuff along those lines. It's going to help streamline that process, and especially when it comes to things like building and scavenging for food. Another brand new feature that we'll be seeing in the Forest is firearms. There's loads of new weapons, as we've seen so far. Now, these new weapons so far do include the taser, the stun baton, the pistol, the shotgun, and the revolver. But it does seem like there's going to be some form of ammo shortage because they do still want to stick to that original bat and melee combat situation where, you know, you're stuck with your machete or with your bat and you've got to beat off the cannibals in that way. Instead of just having a free-for-all and loads of ammo, there's probably going to be a mod or something along those lines which will give you unlimited ammo or potentially a cheat. But for the time being, it does look like ammo is going to be relatively scarce. So it's going to be one of those moments where you are going to have to pick and choose where you use a firearm instead of just shooting willy-nilly, which I think is a great way to be with the Forest. I do love the idea of having firearms in the game, but making it too easy with loads of them could potentially make the game a little bit boring and stale. Whereas in the original Forest, not having firearms and using your bow and arrow definitely made things a hell of a lot more complicated, especially when you had a large amount of mutants attacking your base or you were going through the caves. Another new feature that they've added is a 3D printer, which looks awesome. As you can see in some of the clips, being able to 3D print things could make things a hell of a lot easier. You can even see at some points in the inventory there are 3D reel or plastic reel spools. I don't know what they're actually called that they go in 3D printers, but you can see these spools of cartridge, should we say, that go into your 3D printer to create certain things, which very interesting. And I do think they're going to expand on the interior crafting side of things, and it's going to be a hell of a lot more advanced than the original Forest. As you can see by solar panels, we've seen these on a couple of builds so far, and it looks like we're going to be able to use those solar panels to either potentially power things in our home or even recharge things. As you can see on the crafting map, there is a lot of electronics. We've got torches, we've got NVGs, there is a lot of stuff on there that is powered, so we're going to need something to either power those things or recharge the batteries that are already in them. So hopefully that is what the solar panels are for, alongside lighting and things like that into the house, because crafting in the game and base building definitely up there and going to be one of the fun things to do, but we'll talk about that in just a second. For now, sticking with the crafting system, the crafting has been improved and features a whole host of animations now. Instead of things just popping up on that sheet that you had in the original Forest, now you can actually see them being built. He'll sharpen spears, he'll put things together. Very cool, and it just makes that building process look a lot cooler and a lot more streamlined. Very excited to see this in action, especially with some of the more complex things that we have to build and how they actually come together. Now, next up is base building. As we've talked about already, the solar panels, very cool feature. Alongside that, we could potentially be seeing loads of interior pieces to make the building look a lot better. For now, we haven't really seen much of a build indoors, other than bunkers. The building style has changed dramatically. There is still that old school blueprint style in there for people that do like the old variant of building. I myself, building was something that I found fun but very tedious. With Kelvin and Virginia's help though, that could definitely change as a solo player. If you are playing in a squad, it does make things a hell of a lot easier and a lot quicker. But now what they're going to be doing is free building, and what that consists of is being able to chop a log in half to make a plank and being able to plant that anywhere you want, rather than having set blueprints or foundations. As you can see in some of the clips, chopping out a window frame or even placing points on the logs. Very, very cool, and it will work alongside snap points. So you'll just snap one part to the next and then so on and so forth and build whatever you want to build. Another new feature, which relates to the bunkers that I was talking about a second ago, is digging. You can see your character digging quite a lot. How that's going to incorporate in the game is yet to be seen, whether we're going to be digging to find cave entrances, find hidden bunker locations, or potentially using it to build traps is yet to be seen. I do think it'll be very cool to build sort of like a tunnel underground into an enemy camp, or a tunnel that basically drops enemies into it and then they get stuck. Things along those lines. But I do see it as potentially just a point system where you've got your shovel, you go over to this point and it says you can dig here to unlock something. So you dig there and that enters you into a cave, or you dig here and you open a door to a bunker, which I think that's potentially the way they're going to go with it. That is my guess anyway. But bunkers look very, very cool and very detailed, which is why I mentioned being able to craft certain things inside your actual buildings that you want to build. Whether that's going to happen or not, or whether they're just going to be things that are set in bunkers, unsure. But it would be cool to craft some more detailed items up in your own base and sort of build it and turn it into a home of your own. Next up, we're going to be talking about the improvements. And one of those major improvements is characters. So the mutants themselves. The mutants themselves have seen massive, massive overhaul. And now what they will do is react to what's going on around them. They'll have emotions, and they will act on those emotions as well. So they'll be angry, they'll be hungry, they'll be thirsty. If they want something to drink, they will go and get a drink. If they want something to eat, they might try and eat your face. All that kind of stuff. Very, very cool. And they will also get bored. They will tease you, they will taunt you, and they will work in groups. Now what will happen is you may come across one of them that's a little bit more dominant than the rest. He will then become the leader of those cannibals and mutants that are attacking you. He will direct them, and they will work as a team much better than they ever did in the original game. So this is going to make combat and ambushing a hell of a lot more complicated. But on that note, they also feel fear. As we've seen in one of the clips already, they feel fear, and they do not like it when one of their own is attacked. You can see the head being shown to the other cannibals, and they cower, they back away, which is very, very cool. But what they can also do now is climb trees. They can use your zip lines. They can destroy your base and steal your resources. So they're going to be working a hell of a lot more as a unit, as one whole team, to come and get you. There's also several new mutant types. A two-torsoed weird thing that crawls around in caves. There's fingers. Unfortunately, a few of the old enemies won't be returning, but we do have plenty of new ones to make up for that. Next up is the map. The map is now 5 times larger than the original, which is insane. The original map was one hell of a beast, especially going from one point to the other and trying not to get involved with any cannibals. It was a hell of a difficult thing to do. But now, with this being 5 times larger, there's going to be a hell of a lot more to find, loads more cannibals wandering around, and it's going to make your mission a hell of a lot harder. But alongside that, something that's very, very cool is seasonal changes. Seasonal changes are going to dramatically impact your gameplay. From everything down to the food you eat, to the fish and the rivers that you fish in, everything is going to change. You're going to need thicker clothes. Enemies are going to be dressed differently. And also, things like salmon will swim upstream, and just little details like that are going to be in it. The leaves will change colour. The snowfall will come at certain times of the year. The berries and things that you're foraging for will be much harder to find in those winter months. So that alone is going to make gameplay and much more of a survivalist type and make things so much more fun, yet difficult all at the same time. And as it is in early access, things like that are subject to a hell of a load of change and massive improvements as well. Currently, it's going to launch with 8-player co-op. Whether things will go a little bit tits up when it does launch is yet to be seen. It is an early access game. Sometimes early access games go tits up when they come out, and, you know, it's fine. The team at End Night have proven themselves with The Forest. They have made an absolutely amazing game, and they have said that this one is the most complex project that they've ever worked on. So I'm very excited to see the final result, and even just the early access result and what things are going to look like. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Very excited for this game, and hopefully you guys are too. If you are, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, and stick around for much more Sons of the Forest. We'll be live streaming it on the day that it launches and have continuous content all the way through early access, including tips, tricks, guides, and a hell of a load more. So stick around for all of that on the 23rd of February. I've been Wired, you've been awesome, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.